Imagine you only had minus 2 minutes to live. This is the story how Tim McLaughlin survived the war as a missile officer. He moved to the base in Germany with his wife.
Worried and conflicted. You see, a red card was actually a red disc that had a little key on it. The key was actually the one that let you launch off the missile. The key on the white disc would only launch a test missile and pre-launch material. You feel conflicted because you know you have a life expectancy of minus 2 minutes if you got a red one because you were targeted with other nuclear weapons. And at the same time, you knew that if you had to send that off, you unfortunately were gonna kill a heck of a lot of people. And that's why you feel conflicted.
This is the feeling, the heart, and the mind of a U.S. Army military officer. You had to be strong and pray that you would never have to turn the key on the red disc. My name is Emma Stratman.
And my name is Paige Vincent, and this is the story of Tim McLaughlin. Tim's story began in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tim was the oldest of 6 kids.
He lived a generically normal child. He went to school and then decided to go to college and attend St. John's University and got a degree in government. While Tim was in college, he had a roommate who hung the country flag upside down, and it really bothered him.
I had a roommate that put a flag on the wall upside down and claimed to be a pacifist. This was during the middle of the Vietnam War. The only problem with him is he wrestled, as I did, and I knew that that was not a pacifistic sport. So I had a problem with him, and I got involved in our...
He had this feeling where he felt very strongly about the flag and our country. This is the feeling when you feel very passionate about something. When Tim's roommate hung the flag upside down, Tim felt very livid, and it ended up being a turning point in Tim's life.
Tim felt that he should do something about the way he felt towards what happened with his roommate. Tim started to feel an obligation to his country, which soon turned into an absolute patriotism.
He came to the decision that he should join the Army. As soon as he swore in, Tim was sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for boot camp. Boot camp is designed to push participants to their limits, so it was not an easy thing for Tim to accomplish. However, after about 10 weeks of high-intensity training, Tim finally completed the camp and was awarded his letter of completion.
He then had multiple choices where to serve, such as Fort Polk, Louisiana, or Germany. Fort Polk was not doing well, so Tim and his wife thought Germany sounded a lot better.
Once they decided to move to Germany, they chose the Persian Missile School for Tim to finish his education, because he really wanted to work in this field. Right before they left, Tim and his wife decided to get married. By the time they had been together for 3 years, and they felt very confident in spending the rest of their lives together.
Also, in order for Tim's wife to come with him overseas, they had to be married. After 8 weeks of the school, they finally moved to Germany together so he could continue his work in the service. After a few months living in Germany, his oldest son was born. Tim continued working with Persian missiles. Tim started to learn what the meaning of his job was. Tim knew that his job was very important and it could affect many lives.
The missiles he worked with were nuclear missiles. To launch these missiles, there were red and white discs with keys. Tim would be handed a disc which would either launch the missile or test the launch. So with every disc he received, he never knew which color he'd get. The white discs are practice missiles, and the red ones were not practice. They would actually be sent out, which means that they were under an attack. If he were ever to be handed a red card, that meant he only had 2 minutes to live.
And conflicted. You see, a red card. The red card was actually a red disc about this big that was on it, that had a little key on it. That key was the one that actually lets you launch the missile. The other key on the white would only go to the point of testing and pre-launch material. And you feel conflicted because you knew you had a life expectancy of minus 2 minutes if you got a red one, because you were targeted with other nuclear weapons. And at the same time, you knew that if you actually had to send that off, you were going to, unfortunately, kill a heck of a lot of people. And that's why you were conflicted. And I mentioned in the earlier interview with someone that we actually had...
Tim remembers the feeling of getting handed a card. If he ever received a red card, that would mean he had the power to hurt many people, some of which would be innocent.
Being in the army affected Tim in different ways. One example of how Tim changed is his punctuality. Being punctual means the person is habitually on time or early for all events. Tim was taught this first in basic training. Every morning there was a wake-up call, and if a cadet didn't get out of bed on time, there was a severe punishment.
Throughout the day, Tim learned time management in various drills, meetings, and scheduled activities. Tim still uses punctuality today. He mentioned that he is always early or on time for everything. He is often bothered by people who are not on time. Tim has even changed shifts at his job because one of his coworkers could never make it to work on time, and Tim knew he could. Another way the Army has impacted Tim is his health. The Army taught Tim to take his health seriously, both with diet and exercise. To this day, Tim still manages his health wisely.
Tim spends his retirement educating young adults about his experience in the military. He is a part of the local Legion and enjoys volunteering his time to help out their cause. We want to thank Tim for his service and for the time he shared with us.
We would also like to take a moment to thank all the other veterans, past and present, who have dedicated their lives to our country.
Thank you for listening. My name is Emma Stratman.
My name is Paige Vincent.
And this is the story of Tim McLaughlin.